Okay, we already did a similar question like this, I believe, with just these numbers slightly different. So let's find the critical numbers. 1 minus plus 2 sine of x equal to 0 will give you sine of x equal to negative 1/2. Draw the graph of the sine x over this domain. It's negative pi over, the domain is negative pi to pi. Now on this domain, you're trying to look at the points where the sine becomes negative 1/2. And these 2 points, if you look at your previous notes, this one is negative pi over 6 and also negative 5 pi over 6. So those are the critical numbers. Then, because we also need to know the relative extrema, not just the absolute extrema, we would like to draw the number line, place these critical numbers, and also this time, because it's a finite domain, you also need to put the boundaries. And it's okay to pick your test points at the boundaries if you have to figure out whether it's increasing or decreasing. You just have to make sure that the boundaries are not one of the critical numbers. Okay. Okay. So if I choose negative pi for the test point here, if I choose negative pi over 2 for the test point, and if I choose 0 for the test point here, f prime of negative pi is 1 plus 2 times sine of negative pi. So that's 1, which is positive. Which is positive here. F prime of negative pi over 2 is 1 plus 2 sine of negative pi over 2. So for sine, the minus can be pulled outside. That's not true for the cosine. Cosine, the negative goes away. The difference is said in the following terminology, using the following terminology. You say sine is an odd function. Odd function means minus comes outside. And cosine is an even function. Even function means the negatives don't matter. Okay? So sine is an odd function, so minus can be put outside. And sine of pi over 2, you should have memorized, or at least looking at the graph, at pi over 2, the value of the sine is 1, right? So this is 1 minus 2, which is negative 1. So this is minus. And then f prime at 0 is again like this with sine of 0. Sine of 0 is 0, so you get 1, which means this is positive. So that tells us that the graph of the function, the original function, increases, decreases, decreases until here, and increases until there. All right. So the relative min happens where? Now, can a boundary point be a relative max or min? No. Boundaries are not allowed to be relative max or min. We always exclude the boundaries from being at relative minimum or relative maximum. The only relative minimum you have is here. This is the smallest place inside the domain that's relatively smaller than the other neighborhoods. This is not the smallest, but it's smaller than the neighborhoods. Okay. So the relative min must happen at negative pi over 6. Let's see, if you plug in negative pi over 6 to this, cosine negative pi over 6 is radical 3 over 2. So it'll be negative pi over 6 minus radical 3. And the relative max should happen at negative 5 pi over 6. And if you plug that in, this will be negative pi over 6 plus radical 3.
Does it always work like that? Can't you, like, do we always get like the difference of if it's radical 2 will be plus radical 2?
No,
We
it
did
doesn't.
that
It's
with
just
the
by chance.
Oh.
I'm just doing this because we did a similar question like this.
Oh,
Yeah, the reason that over there was the same was because we were basically doing the same question.
It's easier just to remember that. There's different
No, it's not. It's just by chance. Okay. All right. So you have this, and then now to find the absolute maximum or absolute minimum, we have to evaluate the function at the negative pi, because that's the left endpoint, and also the right endpoint f of pi. F of negative pi is, well, actually, cosine negative pi is -1 and cosine pi is -1. So they both give you -1. And this one will be different. So negative pi plus 2 will be at negative pi. And this one will be pi plus 2. All right, so the values are this. So in order to find the absolute maximum and absolute minimum, you have to figure out which one's the largest among these and which one's the smallest among these four values. And that's not so easy without a calculator. Well, but you can still estimate. Square root of 3 is about 1.7, right? And pi is about 3.1 or something. So it's 3 over 6 is 1/2. So negative 0.5 minus 1.7, negative 2.2. So that's one way to do it. Okay? Or another way to think about this is, which can be an absolute minimum according to the thing that you drew. The absolute minimum has to be this or that. Is that right?
Correct.
Yeah. So we just have to compare this value with this value. We just have to compare these two, to see which one's bigger or smaller. Okay? Now, how do you compare two numbers? Well, if you subtract the two, and if it's positive or negative, then that can tell you which one is bigger or smaller, right? So one effective way you can do this is to take one number, negative pi over 6 minus radical 3, and subtract the other one, which is negative pi plus 2. And then that's pi minus pi over 6 is 5 pi over 6, and then plus 2 minus radical 3. It's actually minus 2 minus. Okay, I was hoping that it's easy to determine the difference, but I guess it's not. All right, so just to go on with this, pi is about 3. 3 over 6 is about 1/2. What's half of 5? 2.5. 2.5 minus 2 is 0.5. So this is about 0.5 minus square root of 3. Now we know that this is a number that's bigger than 1, right? So would this yield a minus number or a positive number? It will be a negative number. This will be negative. So if this is negative, which one's bigger, this one or that one? The right one's bigger. Which one's smaller? This one's smaller. Okay. Which one are we looking for right now? Absolute minimum? So this must be it. So with some estimation, you can get that absolute minimum is negative pi over 6, comma negative pi over 6 minus radical. Because this is the slope. Now we can do another similar argument. This time, it's either this or that, that's the maximum. So let's pick this number and subtract that one. And it's very similar to the previous one, so it's just off by some signs. Let's see what happens. Then we have negative 7 pi over 6 minus 2 plus radical 3. Okay, what should I write for this? Actually, we don't even have to do that. Isn't this negative? And this one's a lot easier. Minus 2 plus radical 3. Is that positive or negative? Negative, okay? And so this is a negative 7 pi over 6 plus some negative number. Okay. So do you get a negative or a positive? You again get negative. So which one's bigger? Pi plus 2 is bigger. So absolute maximum is pi comma pi plus 2.